Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of our Secondsies³ podcast, produced by Alma Pictures LLC and presented by Ayla Hadi, Jessica Galletta, and Allison Weaver. And sorry for any pronunciation errors today. It is the morning. So today we are going to be once again exploring the wonderful world of arts and culture all around various places and spaces. And of course, if you are interested in learning about the arts and culture scene around the world in various territories, locations, and countries, this is the place for you to stop and enjoy. And so, our our topic for today is going to be very unique because this is actually a part of the world which has less population than some others. And so we want to explore some principles from that particular area. Actually, two particular areas, and you'll see what I mean in a moment. So let's grab some tea or whatever drink you like and settle down for our little discussion. We will also be having some, obviously, critique of the works that will be the work that will be presented, and we are also going to have Q&A and some news and so forth as we usually do. So let's get started. So our focus today is going to be Antarctica and the Arctic Circle. And yes, I do know this is a very large area to cover, but because they have some similar traits and similar considerations in our global world, I decided to cover them together. So obviously this, for the people that haven't had geography very recently, of course, we are covering the areas around the North Pole, as you can see on that side of the screen, and we're also going to cover the South Polar regions. So
So
we'd like
Santa lives in the North Pole, right? Or is it the South Pole?
what?
Does Santa live in the North Pole or the South Pole?
He lives in the North Pole, dear.
Okay,
Although I think he
that's
should live in
right.
the South Pole because that would make more sense. But
Yeah, there's more.
but Santa doesn't make sense. So therefore, let's go to some of our principles of the arts and culture scene in these areas. So we're going to look at connection to nature and oral tradition. And in this case, we have Greenland's Kanak region. And in this area, the elders lead everybody from toddlers to grandparents in traditional song cycles. And these are known as klasa, where older singers teach the newcomers each verse by call and response, preserving stories of sea mammals and hunt rituals. So in all of these different regions, you're going to see a lot of community participation and oral tradition, obviously, because tradition community is the way that people survive, especially in these very cold areas. Another characteristic that you're going to see a lot in the arts and culture of this area is the storytelling and oral tradition. And of course, we have various people, and these are some of the locals in the northern part of the I believe it's Norway, if I'm not getting myself confused here. And you're going to see a lot of stories. And one thing that I would like to highlight here is that there are always going to be a lot of stories around fireplaces, and the community's history, of course, is extremely important. And that often will also involve repetition, like from Sámi singers, and structures like this, and it's often done in song. Another we want to see, of course, is community and collective participation. You can see this is from some of the Inuit cultures and this and some other cultures. And you can see here that there is a lot of collaboration in the art, which I like to talk about here. So a lot of the time, of course, it also has to do with healing, and it can also have to do with different stages of development of the individual person, of their journey, and that's what makes it really beautiful. And here we have our theme of resilience and survival. And this is in, of course, northern part of, this is in Siberia. And you can see here that the story, the togetherness, the resilience, and survival are all very important themes of the music and also of the arts. So I will be sharing some different types of the music with you guys as well in the links below. I can't, because of copyright reasons, share certain things. And we also see here use of nonverbal communication. Dance is very popular, and you can see there are different types of dances, and many of them will involve the entire community. And then we have different spiritual and ceremonial functions. And this is from the Neslik Inuit, and the shamans are performing one of their Ngakuk ceremonies, and they will also perform different ones on ice floes during winter solstice, and they will use drumming, chanting, and circle dances to pray for the hunters and the ecosystem, for example. And here is another theme which we can see, which is adaptation to climate and resources. So the people in these regions are very, very, very innovative. This is from the subarctic, Occidental subarctic, and there are lots of different kinds of instruments and drums and different woodwinds that they make, drums, woodwinds, and so forth, that they make using whale and other types of resources available, for whether it's parts of a bone, or whether it's the sinews of something, or whether it's just the skin. They've made many, many beautiful instruments, and it leads to a very gorgeous cultural expression. Now, I'm not an expert on these things, but I will be mentioning in links where you can find out more about the First Nations in these areas and their beautiful cultures. And of course, the cultural preservation is extremely important, because people are sadly losing their culture in many places, and many people don't want to live in these very cold regions, so they'll move southward towards the cities that are bigger. And so it's very important for the language and cultures of these different groups to be preserved. Now, I'm not mentioning a lot of people specifically, because I really do want you as the audience to check out some different types of things and to do your own research as well, because I think there's this group of individuals that lives in these northern and southern areas is very diverse, in spite of the fact that many of the populations are shrinking. And I also want to mention something very interesting here. This is one of the ice festivals, and this is a very interesting ice festival, and this is I believe this one is in Norway, if I'm not mistaken. And they do a lot of different things with the local art, and also there are many artists from different countries that will do this. This is also available, for example, in northern China or in various other places. They will have art ice festivals. And cultural sustainability is really important, as well as environmental sustainability, because the ice floes are melting and so forth. And now this takes us to our wonderful work for this time. And yes, it's not a First Nations composer, but I wanted to highlight the work of Ludovico Einaudi because, and his song Elegy of the Arctic, because he really brought awareness to what's going on in that, and in Antarctica and in the North Arctic as well. And he brought it into the public view because, yes, the First Nations people have been talking about it. Yes, there have been scientists that were discussing these issues with climate change and also the cultural changes and so forth, and archaeologists and many other people. However, when Ludovico wrote this music and performed it in the North Arctic with Greenpeace, it kind of created a little bit of a shift. So let's talk a little bit about the artist, and then we can talk a little bit about the work. So Ludovico Maria Enrico Einaudi was born in 1955 in Torino, in Italy, and he is, of course, an Italian pianist and composer, most well known for blending minimalism, contemporary classical, and world music influences. And he was trained at Milan's Conservatorio Verdi under Luciano Berio. And he, of course, scored many films, including This Is England, 2006, The Untouchables, 2011, and released acclaimed solo albums, including L'Onde in 1996, Il Giorni, 2001, and 7 Days Walking in 2019. And his work is very introspective and includes a lot of sparse textures and melodies, and is very emotionally direct, which has also given him many listeners around the world. And of course, he still tours with a very large performing group, and he even has graced the Royal Albert Hall and every other major venue that I can think of. And as far as the song itself, this one was premiered on a Greenpeace Save the Arctic floating platform, which you can see here, against the melting Valberggreen glacier in Svalbard, Norway. And this was composed by him specifically to raise awareness of climate change. And this video is really cool if you watch it, which we'll definitely link it below, because it juxtaposes the fragility of the environment with the purity of solo piano, making it a musical statement and, of course, a work of advocacy. Now, this is also important as well because of all the many changes in climate, as you are probably feeling in your own countries, unless you are living in a very nice and cool place during summer or during winter time, where it happen to be. But there are many, of course, extremes in temperature these days, and of course, many different changes are happening to the earth as well. So I just want to share one more thing before we get into our next section here, and that is the United Nations Sustainability Goals. And this is relevant to what Einaudi is also working on with the peace and raising awareness with as well. And the goals specifically, I'll just go through them really quickly for those of you who may not know. And they are the following. There's 17 of them. There's no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, credit, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation, and infrastructure, reduced inequality, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace, justice, and strong institutions and partnerships. So the United Nations has been pushing for these goals for a long time, and we'll also share a little video about that. And their idea is, of course, to try to make the world more sustainable in business and life. So again, Naldi's work also does connect to the goals, and I think it's interesting as a point for thought. And even if you don't put it into an actionable format like a climate action point, is also something that I think is fun because the music and the way that they staged it is really interesting, and I think it means something to the viewer. So, without further ado, let's go to our rating and critique section. So, thank you for listening to the short intro. All right, who wants to start?
I I will.
Okay.
Okay. So, Allison had shared with me like 2 years ago her plans for doing this piece on a later episode of this podcast. And since she has informed me of this, I have been like anxiously awaiting this meeting because I am such a Ludovico fan. I shared this with you guys before, but he has this like stunning, like I think like a 6, 7 minute piece called Primavera that has been in my writing playlist for at least 14 years now. That's like I definitely remember using it and listening to it like a ton in 2011, but it might have been even before then. And I know that he recently got a lot of popularity and notoriety on social media because of his piece called Experience in 2021. And so when that was popping up, I was also extremely excited. I'm not going to say he was like an underground artist before then, but he definitely gained a lot more recognition from that piece. Um, and I remember actually when this video was released, because of another friend who's also a Ludovico fan and who also deeply cares about the environment and the impact of, this really like large scale mass industrialization of the world and what it's doing to our environment. So just wanted to say that ahead of my critique of this piece. I'm so thrilled and so pleased that we're talking about it today. Um, and yeah, I just have a lot of very fond memories of listening to his music. And contrary to what, the subreddit for classical music says,
You went there,
uh,
that's funny.
I've known for years what they think of him and, other like pop classical artists, although they would hate even the fact that he's categorized under there. But, they just need to relax a little bit and, not be so uptight. Obviously, a lot of people do resonate with his music and the simplicity of his melodies, I think, is kind of the big draw of the music. It just slowly builds on itself until it hits like a crescendo. And that type of like stability in his pieces, I think, can be very like soothing and really gives you a raw reaction. So yeah, the if anybody from that subreddit is listening to this episode, sorry, not sorry. Uh, yeah. So with this video, I really thought it was interesting how the they utilized colors or lack of colors to really
Mhm.
build through how austere the environment is, how austere the situation and grave the situation is. Ludovico is in wear completely like wearing completely black. His piano is black. And it's like a sharp contrast to just the pure white iciness of the glaciers and the icebergs, and the waters. So basically, he and his musical instrument are the focal point, while also providing like a very stark contrast to their environment and surroundings. And I think part of the reason why this video captured so much interest from people is how it is a piece that it was supposed to help promote a Greenpeace initiative about climate change and the effects of climate change. And in the midst of that video, you see collapsing of the icebergs happening.
Yes,
Just
yes.
that was like, from what I remember from the conversations when it first happened, that was like a gut punch to a lot of people watching the video. It was just like a like the clearest example of how dire the situation is. Um, and you could see him getting choked up about it too, like in
Yeah.
the start of the video, like there was a lot of raw emotion coming from him. Uh, and so it just creates this like emotionally evocative experience for the viewer. And when you're like looking at like I don't know if you guys notice this, but or maybe it's just something that I interpreted it in this way. But when you're looking like at the iceberg and the ice formations and how they're kind of like all wavy and like statue-like, it almost felt to me like rows of soldiers being fed to this like gaping maw of climate change or war, if that makes sense. That's what it looked like to me
That's
for
a
a
visceral
minute.
image.
Sorry?
I said that's a visceral image. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was like, it was, of course, that's like just nature. It wasn't like a decision of the director to like carve the ice formations in that way. It just so happened that it looked like
Mhm.
that. And seeing the ice collapsing into it is just like another reminder. Um, and the only people you really saw was like another boat. I'm assuming it's like crew for Greenpeace. It was just him on that
Yeah, that was the crew.
white,
Yeah.
yeah, white raft and that boat. And it's just like
It was a video
silent.
crew. That's
Yeah,
what
that's
it
a video crew. Yeah. Yeah. So I was just, of course, like another thing that people kind of immediately jumped to was like, oh my gosh, how are they able to set everything up? How are they able to get him on there? Like, what are like the safety precautions and considerations that were put out when
there
doing
weren't
this?
any, but anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing that was
This
like
was
a
back
lot.
then. They didn't do that.
Yeah, everyone was
They
like,
just
what's
told
going
him,
on
let's
here?
go. Like,
Yeah. I
and they
think
also
like my
had the medical team there. I do know that.
they had a medical team. Okay, good.
And like divers. Yeah, of
Yeah, I was like
course.
sitting there watching. I'm like, what if like just a pod of orcas came up and like just started messing around with him? Because like they know that like orcas don't really view humans as a source of food, but sometimes they just, like
They like to bother them. Yeah.
yeah, they like to be mischievous,
Like
It's
dolphins
especially
like the
like
real
to
life
go
version of
terrible.
Happy Feet. The penguins start tap dancing.
yeah. And like in the last couple of years, there have been more reports of them going after people's yachts, so like in coordinating. But like I said, not to eat people, but like apparently for vengeance. I don't know. Um,
Just orcas, they need something to do. Like dolphins. Dolphins are terrible creatures.
They're letting us know
Yeah,
what's
they're
what. They're
horrible.
like, listen,
They're
you're
mean.
allowed here. Like, we're not going to kill you, but this is our turf.
exactly. I have like an acquaintance who's a marine biologist, and she's gone on many tirades, not tirades, but rants about dolphins. She prefers humpback whales. Those are her favorites.
Nice. Humpback whales are
Yeah.
nice. And I also like blue whales. They're fun.
Yeah.
Especially when you
Yeah.
can see them live. So what's your rating?
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna go through my rating, but just right off the bat, I think like the one thing that I didn't really like or was kind of like an eyesore for me was the raft that he was on. I
Oh, you
know
thought
they
that should have been in the shot.
yeah, they're trying to make it look like an iceberg, but it just kind of looked like a flat Cybertruck. But
Well, it's
yeah.
a raft.
I mean, they tried. They tried. But so
Plus,
as
you have to
far
have it like be able to handle that grand Steinway piano. So anyway,
so yeah, that the piano is lovely. So I just kept on focusing on that. And also like, the background, the scenery.
that's fair.
Um For cultural appeal, I gave it 8 out of 10. I think that it engages with some very important messaging and uh, cultural norms happening throughout our world. And that has like increased and accelerated in the past couple of years. For popular appeal, I gave it an 8 because despite what the subreddit for classical music says,
I'm gonna have something to say about those people. Anyway,
yeah, not everyone is going to be listening to him. Some people still have that barrier to that type of music. So that's why I'm not giving it like a 10, but I think that a lot of people do resonate with his music and with this piece, especially when it ties into some very important messaging for our current society and life. For historical significance, I gave it a 8. I think that in the future, they're going to probably use this video as a time capsule of what global warming has looked like and
yeah, 100%.
yeah, and also what the public reaction was to seeing that happening live time, like live streamed almost. And then also what happened later with governments worldwide in response to Greenpeace's plea.
Yeah, it
So
was
that's
huge.
why,
Yeah.
yeah. So I can see this being used as part of like historical record in the future. Clear purpose and intention. 10. I think it's very clear what they're trying to accomplish here,
Yeah.
especially at the end, because it ends with a call to action. So 10 out of 10 in that regard. It's very, very clear. If anything, to some musical snobs, they might say that they might be beating people over the head with
I don't know
with
you
the
mean, but anyway,
purpose.
yes, they would
Yeah.
say that.
I'm just being a hater right now.
No, you should. You should. Tell it
Yeah.
like it is. Tell it like it is.
Um, Effective use of symbolism, I gave it a 7 out of 10, just because of how minimal the setup was. And the symbolism is basically well, you can argue that symbolism is what the viewer brings to it. But genuinely, with this one, it's like, what do you bring to the symbolism of that natural landscape and what's happening in that natural landscape. So I feel like it was pretty simple, straightforward. It was not like convoluted masses of symbols happening in that video. Very simple. For effective storytelling or narrative arc, I gave it a 7 out of 10. I feel like it was adequate. I would say above adequate. And then for performance quality, I gave it an 8. And I think that Ludovico put so much heart into that performance and into that recording of the music. So I gave it an 8 out of 10. Technical quality, I gave it a 7 out of 10 because of the raft. So there was like a lot of really great like filming happening. And I love how at the end all you really hear is like the quiet noises of like the water. But I did have to dock up some points for his little floating Cybertruck raft. Um, and
Oh,
uh,
good.
effective ROI, I gave it an 8 out of 10 just because I can imagine just how costly it was to get Ludovico to compose, come out to a isolated area of the world with his beautiful piano and get everything situated. So just how the remote nature of the environment that he was working with, I feel like it was probably costly. But as far as like the returns on investment, it did do what it set out to do, which was create like a big hullabaloo and response to the cause that he was championing. So I give it an 8 out of 10. Market appeal slash commercial viability, I also gave it an 8 out of 10. I feel like it's fairly commercial and not too niche, but also not like a pop radio commercial type situation. So though that those are my ratings.
Great. Thank you so much. So
Mhm.
let's hear from Jess. What do you have for us?
Yes, my turn. My
He's one of
turn.
your people,
Um,
Jessica.
huh?
What?
He's of your people, from
Oh,
Italy.
he's Italian.
Italiano.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
he's one of my people. He's
Yes.
Italiano. Like moi, like me. But he is actually Italian
You
in
are
Italy.
also actually Italian, but
I'm
you're
of the
um,
diaspora. Whatever.
anyway, but keep going.
Yes. Okay. I loved it as well. And I was also really struck by when the like iceberg parts like would collapse and then it like actually caused them to pause a little bit. And I was wondering, and made me think of what it must be like to actually be there every day, to like live there and see from and have to experience that from day to day, just like at any moment that collapse is just like a really loud and intense reminder of what's happening. And it's just like a ticking time bomb. It's like this hourglass, like a little more sand just like falls down.
Memento Mori.
And that would be really sad and intense to live with. But not that he only went visited, but I'm sure the people
Yeah.
of Greenpeace and the researchers who live there, I'd be like, no, it's like trying to build your little house of cards and then like one section falls and you're like, no, but
Yeah, like
it's
when we
life.
made them when we
It's
were
the
kids.
earth. It's the earth. It matters.
Yeah.
So I I'm not a huge hater of the raft. I thought that was a very clever workaround, in my opinion. I mean, it did. Now that you bring it up, it does look like a cyber truck, but I mean, maybe they could have made it more shimmery, but I feel like for form and function, I think in the way they sort of designed it, had some like geometric, angular, so it made it almost like it could blend in.
Mm.
It
Yeah.
looked like not, it definitely doesn't look like it's from nature, like obviously, but it wasn't just like a plain square. It was like cut in an interesting shape, almost like not planned, not symmetrical. And I
Mhm.
liked that. So I
Like
also
they
wondered how he
planned
got
it
on there. I'm like,
really
where is he on
hard.
the edge? I guess the boat must have gone up to it and then put him on, or maybe he came down from the helicopter. Logistics. But here's my ratings. Cultural appeal. I'm gonna say like a um it's hard to say. I guess I could say like I'm gonna be tough on this one, but I'm gonna say 7, not because I don't seven's a pretty high score. I do think that um nature, like the cinematography, the sweeping, like the ice, the snow, and the natural scene was it's very universally appealing, and um it definitely feels very of its time, of our time. And I think it's it has like a broader cultural appeal rather than like a specific culture. Because it feels kind of culturalist, but it's also kind of it's meant to be more of a globalist thing. So I would say 7, because it touched on like, obviously it's about sustainability and the environment and a call to action and a warning, and it's a love letter, an elegy, a sad love poem to the Arctic,
Yes,
Antarctica.
lovely.
Oh, I'm getting choked.
Yes, so
So good.
I would say, yeah, so I would give it a 7, but it doesn't like, I mean, it's not super on the nose. I don't think it has to be, but it also, I would say, as far as cultural, they could have gone a little more. They could have done more. I also think that I wish the song had been longer, and I love Ludovico's music, and this song is like meant to be like a sad, like an elegy. It's sad. I just wish it just didn't have that same punch that that a lot of his popular songs have had. I think it's a beautiful song. I'm not going to be like, he's very emotional. It's very intuitive. It's kind of like, it really brought his artistry was really apparent in it. So I liked that aspect, but I feel like it could have done more. It could have gone further. It was like, it could have taken more risks artistically or culturally, whatever.
Right.
Popular appeal.
But he was also cold, so think about it.
Oh yeah, I mean, just like in
Filming
the
on this ice.
yeah, the composition of the song. I mean, but yeah, I mean, some of his songs are like 6 or 7 minutes long, and that was like
I know,
3
but do you
minutes.
want him to sit 6 or 7 minutes long in all that cold weather? Like,
I
what?
mean, he probably had to do multiple takes, so I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
probably.
Like, he probably had to do multiple takes, and he wasn't wearing like so much layers, so many
Because
layers.
Yeah, maybe he was sitting on a heating pad. I don't know. Anyway,
Hey, that's
yeah,
interesting.
that's
I should try to find that out.
the adrenaline of playing made him like sweat. Anyway, no, it was beautiful. I would have liked it. I feel like it was kind of like a build, but it never crescendoed, and it was like
Okay.
it's like taking a breath in, and then it's just like, okay, where's the exhale? Like the song, and I was like, where's the exhale? So I think that's just for me as like a listener, but not saying that
That's
it's
fair.
bad, but that's just my observation.
Where's the sneeze?
What?
I said,
Huh?
where's the sneeze?
I know. It was like, maybe that's the symbolism. Climate change is we're in that part where we haven't sneezed yet. We're just at the
Yeah.
we don't want to sneeze. We're trying to avoid sneezing in climate
Yeah.
change. Popular
Hold your
appeal.
breath.
The deep breath before the plunge.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Après-moi le deluge. Anyway, popular appeal, I'm going to say 8 because I do think it has that universal appeal. I think people care, well, a lot of people care about climate change, and
Well, they should if they
I
feel
think,
it in their body now.
yeah, literally, we're living it right now everywhere. It's awful. Some have been living it already.
Yep,
But
like me.
um, so I do think it has, but even the piece itself and the scenery and the creative choices they made, even if I just gave it to someone out of context, they probably would really enjoy it. And also, he's a very popular contemporary classical composer. So I think choosing someone who's very well known, like a big name, also gives it more popular appeal. I think a lesser known person would still have carried the message. It just might not have, no, again, maybe less clout or less name recognition. But I do think that they chose the right person. As far as the legacy potential, historical significance, I'm gonna say, I want to say 10, but I'm gonna actually say 6 because hopefully with climate change, the whole thing is like, will there be a future where we can look back on this and talk about it as a historical time? that would insinuate that we have a future. So I'm hoping that that's the case. But the urgency of the messaging of the message of this piece and the reality of climate change is that it's a very real existential threat to the future of humanity and the future of civilization and the planet. So I'm going to say 6, not because I don't think it's historical, but saying historical significance would insinuate or implies that there's a future to look back on this time historically. So that's really bleak. Legacy, I think this is a really great legacy for Ludovico as an artist. I think it's a great legacy for Greenpeace, anyone who cares about sustainability, and just really showing how art and science really meld together and are in a symbiosis. And there's artistry and emotion in both of those things, especially like to do the work that these climate scientists do on Antarctica takes a lot of love and passion and probably a lot of introspection. So I think that there's a lot of legacy potential. I think the legacy potential is like a 9, but that's my score for that. I'm going to say 10 for clear purpose and intention. No explanation needed. I think it's pretty obvious. Effective use of symbolism. Going back to what I said about cultural appeal, I do think they could have done creatively, they could have done more, but I do think like there wasn't much symbolism because it's just like what was there. It's very we didn't have to symbolize anything. He's actually at Antarctica. You actually see the ice cliffs collapsing. You see the reality of the ice caps melting like in real time. So I feel like you don't even have to be really symbolic of that. So I'm going to say 4 just because it's not really a symbol. It is the thing and it has nothing to do with quality. But if they wanted to incorporate like symbols and stuff, if they wanted to do those creative things, I mean, maybe they could have done that. It might have been a little too much. Maybe like less is more in this situation. Yeah. The storytelling, 10, because I think the music really told a story. Him playing the music and his experience of playing the music and what was happening around him as the music was playing, as he was playing, and the whole story of them putting it together. So like the intertextual layers of storytelling, I really thought it really drove it home, and it's a really great, beautiful, complex piece in that, and it's done so simply, but because of the different layers of storytelling. So there's the story they're trying to tell us of what's happening, the call to action, and then there's the story of them making the thing, putting it together that we're seeing, and behind the scenes and the planning, and then the story that Ludovico is telling with the song, and Ludovico's story, and how that crosses path with the Greenpeace's story of what they're doing. So that was really, it's like that's a whole novel, that's a dissertation. So 10 out of 10 for that one.
Ooh.
Snaps.
Performance. What?
Snaps.
Yes. Performance quality. I'm gonna say 12. It's Ludovico Einaudi. Duh. Technical. Yeah, I'm gonna say technical quality. It's 10 as well. I think with the different shots they had, that probably took a lot of definitely they had budget. They had budget, and they had really good camera people. And I think
they did.
Yeah, they did. But also be like to plan that and to like come up with that. I think that was just so 10 out of 10 for technical quality.
That's all.
That is not an amateur project. That is high production value. Effective ROI. I'm gonna say maybe 5 because they had a huge budget. I would hope that the return on their investment would be saving the
Earth.
Was
grants, so you just have to consider that.
Right. Okay. I think returning on the the return instead of fiscal, I would like to think that the return is the earth being saved and climate change being mitigated. So
Mm.
TBD on that. So I'll give it a 5. But yeah, it
Like
probably
when
costs a
she's
lot of
70, be
money.
like commenting on the video, like, you're not all that time. And YouTube will be extinct in like these internet archives or something.
And yeah, the aliens be like, what the heck are these commenters? These people are so angry.
Oh,
They're like,
God.
these comments have nothing to do with the work itself. Imagine.
Oh gosh. Not as angry as
Uh,
those Reddit.
okay, so
Anyway,
you ready for my commentary situation?
no, I have one more. Oh, and the
You're
last
gonna have
one is
more?
market
She's
appeal.
gonna hold
I
forth.
don't
Go for it.
really. Oh, I guess the last one's market appeal, but like, my
Oh,
answer
right,
with
I forgot.
popular appeal is kind of the same. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So is
Go
it
ahead,
safe to
Ayla.
say that you are also a Ludovico girly, Jess?
Sure. Yes. I am
Yay,
obligated to stand.
one of us.
One of us. One of us. Yes. Yes. Hello. Okay.
Oh, great. Thank you guys. That was beautiful commentary. I'm always super honored to hear how you guys dig into these pieces. It makes me very, very happy to have great co-hosts.
Oh.
Really.
Yes. Thank you.
Because I think this is one of his better works in terms of cinematography. So I will start with that. And for me, the cultural appeal is going to be a 5. It addresses the environmental concerns rather than the specific cultural traditions. And it's acknowledging humanity's shared stake, but it's lacking depth in terms of representing any particular cultures. It would have been interesting to me if he would have done it. And I love the piece, I love the cinematography, and I like this video a lot. But it'd be interesting to me if he redid it, but also featuring musicians from these different First Peoples cultures that are living all around these regions. I think that would have been super cool. Like play the same piece,
And
but with traditional instruments and the piano. Ludovico,
whoa.
you are
Yes.
listening to this. I want you to do it. This would
You'll
be
have to
Do
work
it.
it out on the remix.
10 Maybe I'll have to ask his agent to
Work it
do
out
it.
on the remix.
Yes.
Maybe I'll have to
Girl.
ask his agent to do it, or maybe I'll remix it with his agent, whatever. But whatever. The point is, I think that could have been even more super cool because it would have like really brought the different cultures together. But since I don't think the budget was there for that either, by the way, I'm gonna let it pass. The popular appeal, this is where I'm going to differ because it has millions of views and it sparked discussion around climate change all over the world. And it's also been shared a lot around mainstream media and so forth. So I would give it a
Mhm.
10 because of the
Ooh.
impact that it gained on the movement of climate change around the world and policy that it affected. As far as legacy, potential, and historical significance, I would say that would be a 7.5. And it's one of the first high-profile music protests, if you want to say it like that, set
Mhm.
amid a Arctic backdrop, which demonstrates the same power and many. It may probably inspire future artists, collaborations with nonprofits, and so forth. As far as mastery of medium, beautiful, flawless, piano performance. I love it. Really hard transition, really challenging really challenging conditions to play in, by the way. It stretches the art form by giving this really difficult setting to play in. And that's why I think it was longer. I'm just gonna give it a 10 just for the heck of it. Now
Mm.
I'm like fangirling on certain parts of this, and that's because this was super hard to do. So that's why I say
Yeah.
he's a genius. Now, clear purpose and intention, obviously a 10. You can see it right away, the intent to raise urgency about the ice melting, and it was really, really like I also noted the fast that part about the melting glaciers. Use of
Mhm.
symbolism. I think in some ways the glacier was also a symbol by itself. It's
Mhm.
it's creating this fragility. You can feel the fragility of humanity and nature, and how people are also fragile. Um, Also, if we don't take care of ourselves, of our world, we are one step away from dinosaurs, so to speak. So
Mhm.
I'd say it's a 10 for that, even though it's not obvious symbols to me. Now, as far as storytelling, I think that the musical storytelling was very, very beautiful. And again, I'm going to fangirl again because I love Ludovico. Anyway, but the thing that I wanted to say about that specifically is that it's it's like the story is a painful. If you really listen to the music, you can feel this pain. You can feel the pacing. I love how he paused for different things that happened during the filming. It's really stark. It has the serene opening to the really harsh visual, and then it just like builds this emotion over the entire piece. It didn't need to be long to me. It's yeah. And for performance quality, playing is both technically precise and authentic, and it conveys a serious vulnerability. Um, for the technical quality, obviously incredible. Like, talk about a nightmare on to do. This is incredibly challenging for the cinematography, sound, and editing. Like, bravo, people. You guys are genius. And that's a 10 as well. Now, this is where I'm going to get a little bit picky, and this is the return on investment. I think the production budget did yield environmental impact and media coverage, but I don't know if a long-term policy change would be there for some places. So 7.5. And then for the market appeal and commercial viability, I put them together, and that I would say is a 5 only. It was never aimed at the commercial market space. Its appeals for advocacy rather than sales or streaming revenue. So that's why. And overall, I give it an 86%. So it's a B. So
This
again,
is quite a high rating from you.
yeah, I don't rate things very high, but I think he really did a beautiful job at trying to capture their mission of Greenpeace, and
Hmm.
trying to really share these things in a powerful way. So
Oh,
that's why I gave it a high rating, because he just did it, and he can have an organ. He's kind of like Jordi Savall. Jordi Savall is my absolute favorite of all time living conductor and composer and arranger
mm.
in my whole yes. He is incredible. But next to Jordi Savall, I have a lot of respect for people like Ludovico Einaudi as well, who are amazing. Okay,
Yeah,
that's cool. So basically the idea is like I really appreciate what he did, and I really appreciate how vulnerable he performed, in such a vulnerable way he was performing. So
yeah.
very
Well,
fun.
I guess, you could say we're the Powerpuff Girls of Ludovico right now, because
I'm
we're
always a
all,
fan of his stuff because he pushes the envelope, and you'll see something else that I'm going to share in the news about that. But he pushes the envelope, but he also does it in a way that can really go across to music, dance, even songs that are like adaptations or whatever. So it goes across. He can really travel across audiences really easily, which I think is
yeah.
a talent, is a gift. It's a gift.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen like this large amount of people like lamenting the fact that they weren't able to catch his performance at the Royal Albert Hall. Like, I don't think I've seen that before.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna get a list effect now.
Yeah,
The
like there were
mania.
so many people going, "Oh, I wish I was there. I'm so jealous of,
Friendless was the
yeah,
uh first regional celebrity for the Western cultures. I forget
yeah.
who's the first Eastern celebrity. Do you know? For
First East,
music. like cross like regional Eastern celebrity, like big celebrity. I know somebody in the Ottomans probably, but like
I was gonna say Shah Rukh Khan, but you
no,
were
Shah Rukh
thinking,
Khan. No, I mean earlier than Shah Rukh Khan,
oh,
Like
like
in
old days.
general or just
Like for example, Liszt was the first regional, like crazy regional star for Europe, right? Who was the one that was for example, Middle East or see, I don't know those different ones. But yeah, everyone knows Listomania because he was like considered to be one of the first pop stars, so to speak.
oh, well, as far as like the Arabic speaking nations of the Middle East, I would say there is like the trio. First one was Kulthum. They say you listen to Kulthum at night. And then there have been comparisons between him and Frank Sinatra just in terms of how he was perceived to be dreamy and how popular he was with his women
Everyone.
fans in the 50s. That would be Abdul Halim Hafiz. And then the third one is Lebanese singer Fairuz. Like she's been around for decades.
Yeah, but I mean
And
like older, like before the because like there's lots of people we could talk about in the more modern time. But I'm thinking about
okay,
like old, old.
like hundreds of years old.
Yeah, that's what I don't know.
Mm.
But
Okay.
yeah, I agree with the people that you just mentioned, obviously, yes, 100%.
Yeah.
But I meant like old days. I'll have to do some searching, but yeah,
Yeah.
Listomania.
Yeah. I don't know in terms of like specific composers, I know like there are like certain like styles of songs, but like
Right. See, that's the
composers,
hard thing.
yeah. Hey, that's a hard one.
Maybe you can find out for next episode, although we're going to be talking about Clipperton Island, but it's a very small space. But anyway, let's go to our question answer time. I'll start and then everybody can ask one if you want, and then we can discuss. So I have a question for you, Alexa. So tell me about if you want to change the raft because you hated the raft. What would you take? What how would you make their raft?
I wouldn't leave it so that it's like geometric shapes in the front and then everything else is like flat. I think I would have preferred something more fluffy and round, kind of like resembling
Like
like,
clouds?
yeah, yeah. I think
Okay.
that's yeah, and like more of it throughout, but not like all concentrated in the front and like so geometric because I mean, this is way before Cybertrucks even existed, but they're just such an eyesore that I just can't like I can't remove that association right now. But they look like Cybertrucks. Like it's giving Cybertruck to me.
have you seen a Cybertruck in real life? I have. Ugh,
Unfortunately, unfortunately, yes. There was one that was like
They have
lime
them.
green.
They have them in your region, I guess. I've never seen one out here.
Yeah.
They
you're
don't.
lucky. You're
Yeah.
lucky. I wish I could be you. It's not fun. It's
Nope.
like, some cars have a personality. Like Cybertruck is such an a-hole. Like,
Not
how like a
bad.
little bug, like a Volkswagen bug is just so cute and little.
Yeah.
And like, I don't
Have you
know.
seen this one person who, like, whenever they find themselves behind a Cybertruck, like they project images and messages mocking the Cybertruck?
Oh, that's funny. They have a little
So
projector in their
Yeah.
funny.
car.
Yeah. It's like this person has so
I
much.
want to do like a PowerPoint, just like follow that truck and do a whole PowerPoint
You should do a little presentation about climate change. As you follow
on
them,
that truck.
have
Yes.
someone
That would
sit
be,
in the passenger seat, and then you just follow them for like a few kilometers and film it. That would be funny.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I almost just
So
snorted.
somebody ask the next one. Ask your next question.
Oh, I actually have a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so you really, I feel like, hyped up like technical aspects of this video and just kind of like, I think like the logistics of getting everything done.
Oh, pain in
But
the
could
neck.
you like, yeah, could you point like one specific thing that impressed you from a technical aspect that like a lay person would not notice?
Okay, let me see. Well, I'm a producer, so I always think about how the heck are you going to get people there? Okay.
Hmm.
So for example, this is on in the middle of nowhere, which means that you have to fly them to the nearest wherever airport, which is definitely
Yeah.
far away. And then you have to go by private plane and maybe even helicopter as well to get them to the location. Now, you also have to remember that when you're filming one person, it's usually at least a crew of 10, right? And
Hmm.
then you have all these extra people like the doctor, I'm sure they probably had divers, they probably had like emergency whatever. It's probably either they took an airplane or they just sailed out there. And either way, that's really hectic, especially because even though it was summertime to be sure when they were filming it, because otherwise that would be hell. Um,
Hmm.
like that it's still like a huge logistical undertaking. For example, right now the Clipper race is about to begin. Okay, and let's say that they filmed this for a month. That's about one stage of the Clipper race. And that's a sailing race. Now, for like several days on the road, you're gonna have like rations, you're gonna have to figure out your whole like which cameras, make sure that you keep the cameras the right temperature. Like for example, uh all kinds of stuff. People have to be the right temperature. You have to make sure you have backups of stuff because you clearly can't get that out there in the middle of nowhere. Does that make sense? So that's one thing.
Hmm.
And another thing that I really was impressed by is like how they only got in the shot once. And in order to only get in the shot like once takes a huge amount of talent when it's a raft. And of course, that was before they had lots of drones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so that's people, that's not drones. That's not drones, people. Unless they had
Yeah.
one they were like prototyping or something, I don't know. But that's not drones. That's booms, that's handheld cameras, that's like cameras mounted on stuff. That takes a lot of work. Yes, people, your drone
Hmm.
is the easiest thing to use compared to proper cameras. So that's another thing that's super impressive. Like, wow. And the fact that he was willing to do it even to deal with all that inconvenience, because let's be real, people, it's inconvenient to do that. It's incredible. Like, yeah. And not fun, because let's be real, they probably had to film it like several takes. Yeah. Cold.
Yeah. Bathroom too situation.
Yeah. So it's not
Mhm.
easy to do that. Not easy.
Yeah.
So respect the older filmmakers, people, because y'all didn't have to suffer like they did. Let's just be real. Anyway. So Jess, what's your question for the group?
Um, my question is, I don't, I just think of one. I guess when we talk about Ludovico Einaudi, I guess what, and we all like his music, so I guess what is your favorite thing about his music, and like what do you think about his music is innovative? Because I honestly, in spite of classical music Reddit subreddits, I do think
I
that
didn't pay attention to
because a lot
them.
of some contemporary instrumental doesn't really bring a lot to the table in the way that actual like classical music has as far as innovative like arrangements, but I don't know, I think his is very unique and reflect, and so I guess what you guys like about it, his music, is
Oh.
my question.
Hmm. That's a good.
Oh.
I know.
Good job.
Do you want to go first, Allison?
Sure, I'll go. For me, I like the fact that his music is very meditative, and also you can add to it. So while it's composed for piano, you
Hmm.
can add different pieces onto it, like they did, and for some of the works. And you can you can go on a little journey every time. It also adapts super nicely to dance. It also adapts super nicely to a whole lot of different contexts. Like whether you just want to calm down a child or yourself, or like it's it's incredible how deep and rich the music is, if that makes sense. It's rich. So that's
Mm.
where I think, for me, I'm always drawn to it in a different way, and I always receive something different from it, if that makes sense. So when I hear, for example, when Una Mattina, I love that song. And then I'll just think about some story in my mind, or it doesn't need words. Like I think people they like Beethoven, the kind of links. I mean, I like Wagner and I like Beethoven. Let's be real. But
Yeah.
I think that you don't need to have just like 5 billion things going on for it to work. So that's it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. For me, use Primavera as an example. So I felt like it was very emotive and it takes you on a journey throughout that song, build on themselves, leading to like this really beautiful crescendo. It's like a very dramatic crescendo. Like it went low and then suddenly high. Well, and you could, I guess, argue that that is just the nature of crescendos, but I felt like he took us on a journey that when you got to the part of the crescendo, it's like you're just waiting on the edge, and when it comes, it's like you get this like relief from it, and it takes you on like this dizzying journey. It's like you're and I think it's just a really beautiful piece. If you play it on a low volume, it helps me like focus on whatever creative activity I'm doing. If I'm feeling dysregulated, I can like put it on a medium volume, and because of how I don't want to say simplistic, but like because of how it builds gradually and like you know what to expect in the next part of the piece, it helps me regulate myself when I'm dysregulated. And then if I just want to like get swept up in the motion, blasting it with headphones and just like, to give like a geeky image, just like twirling around is also like a vibe and very cathartic. So I think it's like a very multifunctional piece and widespread appeal.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. But yeah.
All right, great.
So
So
Jess, I have a question for
go
you.
ahead.
okay.
Okay, so if you wanted to change something about the piece that we just analyzed, Allison had answered that earlier, and she mentioned what she would have liked to have seen as an addition or a change to the piece. What would you have wanted to see?
Um, I would have liked the song to be longer. I think I mentioned that in my critique. That's I would have liked to have seen, yeah, a longer composition. I do think that I think the Cybertruck flatbed stage could have had more like artistic effects to make it more like shimmery, like more glitz, like not glitz and glam, but just like to make it more it could have been made more reflective and more snow-like. That would have been cool.
Yeah,
Ah, yeah, that's good. Yeah,
beautiful.
that's nice. So yeah, we are at the point. Does anyone want to rant and rave and throw things at the camera? please don't break your computer, but you may now rant and rave about whatever. You can rant about the subreddits or whatever you want. But I do have something to say about the subreddit people. A lot of these people are armchair critics. Okay. They'll often say
Yeah.
something to say something and they don't even know about music theory really. They're just kind of echoing something they may have heard one time from somewhere. So for me, I mean, and we all know that. So for me, I feel like a lot of the
Hmm.
times these subreddits come into these like little things and it's like, yeah, actually you remind me of one of these like not you guys, but like these people remind me of these people who never go to concerts. They just like sit on there and have crisps. And I'm like, if you even went to his concert, you would be changing your tone because the music, the feeling on his music is so incredibly powerful. I think I think people that are crying that he's not more like Beethoven or not more like Schubert or more like whoever need to just get a grip on life because uh, with all due respect, like
Sorry.
I love Schubert. Schubert is my favorite composer, period.
Yeah.
The end of discussion. But for piano, that is.
Also, they're
Yeah,
dead.
like
It's like he's his own person, and people are alive now, and everyone's in like things are going to be different and new and different
Yeah.
and innovative. I think people were. I think it goes two ways here with my thing about subreddit content, comments or commenters
here
in
we
general, or
go.
social media reactors in general. It's okay. It's okay to like things. You're allowed to like things.
Yes.
Stop shaming people for liking something you don't like. You can
Yeah.
just also, on that note, it's okay to not like something. You not liking something is not some great discourse to
Yeah.
be mulled over. Maybe you just didn't like it. And then you know what you do to things you don't like? You move on. You seek
Yep.
out the things you do like. This is like this thing, this that people it feeds off their anger and they're very miserable because
Yeah.
they'll
Yeah.
end up engaging with things that they hate. And so the algorithm keeps sending them the things that they hate. And then they're having a very horrible
Yes.
time and getting
They're
angry
having a
and
bad
yelling at
life.
people
Yeah.
and things. And it's just like the world is out to get me and coming to an end. It's like, no, you're only engaging with the stuff that makes you mad
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
instead of
I think I
ignoring it.
trained
And
my algorithm to not
sometimes
show
you
me
have to
damn
have a
thing.
last word on things. So it's okay to say your piece and then move on. But also again,
Hmm.
like it's like this egocentric view, and also everyone there's this perception with younger people, especially they're chronically online, that they think that everything on the internet is for them and has to be for them and is like a
Yeah.
mirror. And then if it's not, if they see something that they don't resonate with, they get mad. But it's like it's not
Yes,
for
you're correct.
you,
Do you
Yeah.
know, I
okay?
also find that like the digital
It is
continent,
not
as
for you.
we're calling it, is so interesting because
Yeah.
I asked a younger person who was 22 years old, I said, what are your hobbies? What do you do when you're not working? They literally said they just like to be on TikTok and social media. And I
Hmm.
said, wow,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
completely living the
Absolutely.
digital continent. I said, you're completely living on the digital continent. That's interesting. And this person has very low level of social skills as well. Very low level of
Yeah.
social skills. So it's also the product of times. But I think that it's it's a very fascinating trend that a bunch of people are trying to live on the digital continent. Me, I do have to do online work, but I'm not like, and I do a lot of time online work, but I don't have to
Hmm.
live in the digital continent. Like I go out, I take bike rides, I have food, I go to concerts. No, because for me, the digital continent is work.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
them, the digital
I
continent is life. And
honestly
then
For
they're
me,
though,
it's
so hyped up
because
about it. Anyway, I'm talking like a
for me, it's
old
about
lady.
balance because, sorry, the concept of a digital continent is like as its own place, but it's also, I feel like it's a place that is wholly dependent on what comes from the actual continent, so the actual real life
Yes, yes,
existence. its influence. And then there's kind of a symbiosis happening right now where like it's kind of like chicken or the egg, where like things that happen online do impact people's real lives. And
Mhm.
also people are reacting online to things they experience or see in real life.
Yeah.
And it's a thing. So I think it's getting too caught up in the digital aspect makes you out of touch. And I also think that if you're
The
only in the
balance.
real world and if you kind of have this, like, if you just like think that anything on chronically online is like beneath you or something, I do think also you are intentionally like you're not in the conversation. That's just
Well, it depends on
Yeah.
which kind of conversation you're
Although,
having. Because I know people
yeah.
right.
who are
But I also,
world
yeah,
and they don't go on the digital continent, but they're having very important conversations. And they just do it as a way to say, you know what, I don't have time to deal with what everyone is thinking, and they delegate that to somebody else. At least they're keeping a
yeah,
Mhm.
little tab on it, but they're
same
not
time,
on it.
I can
Not,
tell I can tell where people spent like which social media platform people are on. Like there are certain ones that are ahead of the are the head are kind of more further ahead in the zeitgeist, or they're the ones that are like the leaders. And I think TikTok
of course.
and Red Note are like there, and then
Yeah,
followed by
Shaman is
X.
definitely a leader. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So Red Note and TikTok, they're like the top, like things that happen in TikTok first, like things that happen
Yeah.
digitally, start
Yeah.
there and then trickle down. Then people start talking about it on X/Twitter, whatever the fuck. And then from there, and then anything by the time it gets to Instagram or YouTube Reels or Face, like it's like 3 months old. So people are like, if you're only on Instagram, you're like 3 months behind at least. I do
Hmm.
think, and also I just think it's also very dated. I think obviously Instagram's a useful tool and necessary, but it's a very dated.
It
I think
depends on what you're
like
looking for on Instagram because, for example, if it's performing arts, that's very up to date because that's
yeah, I
where
mean
the
dated as
performing
far
arts
as
people
like
are.
the way the platform operates. Like there's been so much innovation in the last couple of years, like just the last 5 years alone, and like TikTok is so unique and
Oh yeah,
new.
definitely.
So I do think that while Instagram isn't it's not a dinosaur, it's
It's not
just it's
obsolete
like
because it
it's
is
very
really
cute.
good for artists to connect to one
Yeah.
another, and it's more niche, I would say. Because, like for
Yeah,
me,
it's just
for performing arts,
it's
we are on
2010.
Shaoxing, whatever. But like,
Yeah.
but also there's like this. There's a very important element of Instagram for creatives of
Right.
performing arts, specifically stage arts and music.
Mm.
Yeah.
So that's a niche. It's more of a niche thing. But as yes, as
Right.
far as staying up to date with what's really going on outside, that yeah, definitely not. But
Yeah, you can't even pause a Reels video. It's very annoying.
Oh my
I know
gosh, it makes me so mad. And then if I
Yeah.
miss it, I have to wait till it ends to start over.
So annoying.
Ah,
go on Instagram, get it together, so that people who like TikTok will come back to you.
Yeah.
Plus, Xiaohongshu
Mm.
has so many different things you can do, and
yes. Oh my gosh, I love
it's like a
Xiaohongshu.
constant like
I'm just a
adapting.
lurker, but I love the performing arts stuff and the
Yeah, it's quite good.
artistic things. The production value is just so insane.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yeah.
man.
But I think like those people honestly exist even outside of like social media. I feel like we've all come across people like those, especially like if you're anywhere near like a liberal arts creative field, you run into that insufferable type who are just so rude about their own opinions and expectations. Like there's a difference
Mhm.
between, oh, I didn't care for it, I didn't like it, and then versus, and I saw this go down, a person sharing how meaningful Ludovico's music was in the past for them and how it helped them start their journey to playing the piano. And the person was like, well, as long as you understand that his music and his work is not good and that it's a par and blah blah blah, and like it's just like the emotional aspect of it, then whatever. I'm like, oh my goodness, you guys are so horrible.
They don't even know
It
about
reminds
artists.
me, if you've
Yeah.
seen the film Tar, have you seen the film Tar?
Hard? No.
So good. Kate Blanchett. Oh my gosh. Well, I can't
Which
explain.
one?
There's a scene in it.
Tar or
Tar, Tar.
oh yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
There's a scene where she's doing like she plays a classical musician, like a famous composer person. And there's a scene where she's doing a master class at Juilliard, and she's like a older generation clashing with this younger Gen Z, like social justice type person who is being oddly very elitist about how like this is good and this is bad, or what you think is good is actually bad, and blah blah blah, and it's being very closed minded, and she's trying to engage with him. And I don't know, it reminded me of that. It reminds me of that scene. But like
Mm.
Hmm. Yeah,
that's like a person
that's
like that
actually a
online.
really
And
common thing in master classes. I know that from experience, and you do too. But like the
yeah.
part about that is like the master would just be like, mm-hmm. And eventually they like turn the thing over so that the kid actually realizes what they were saying. Oh, and they do it with such grace. They're just like, yeah, that's so interesting. What a fascinating idea that you had. Now let's take it from another angle. And that's why they're a master. And I'm like,
She
yeah,
was trying to do that in the scene in this movie, but he it ended up backfiring on her because he was videotaping. People were recording her the whole time, or somebody
of
was,
course
and
they're
then they edited
recording.
it, yeah, like with their phone, and like in the film. This isn't in real life, but and then they edited it to make it look like she was saying these horrible, problematic things.
Yeah, that's what they all
Mm.
do. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. I think we can go to our next section if you guys are ready.
Sounds good.
Mhm.
Entertainment, business, news, trivia, pop culture, and other. So, I have one that I will share first, and then you guys can share. I've been excited to share this because I think this is fun. And I'll just set it up by you guys know how Gustavo Dudamel was at Coachella, and my friend was running sound for that
Wait,
during
who?
that time. Gustavo Dudamel,
Oh,
and
okay.
now he's the director of the New York Philharmonic. He used to be the director of LA Philharmonic. And when he was
Oh,
directing the LA Philharmonic Orchestra, he did a whole set at Coachella with a whole bunch of A-list artists, like LL Cool J and all kinds of people. And
oh,
and the LA Philharmonic was providing musical background in, like, for example, with LL Cool J set, they were able to even mix Beethoven and all
wow.
kinds of, it was really fascinating. So anyway, he also did the Super Bowl halftime show, which I don't really care about US football, but Coldplay, and he connected at that time. And now
Oh,
he is just finishing up at Wembley with the
lovely.
Simon Bolivar Orchestra from Venezuela performing with Coldplay. That's the cool
Oh,
news. Yeah. And so this is something really nice. Like, I follow different artists and musicians, and of course, because I'm in the performing arts, that's basically what I'm following on social media. And
mm-hmm.
he, is really cool because Chris Martin just come up there on the stage in the very beginning, like they opened the show for them, and Chris came out and said, "I'm so like we are so lucky." To some extent, he's like, I forget what the exact quote was, but he was basically saying how lucky he was that they could get Gustavo Dudamel and this orchestra to come and perform with
Oh,
them, and because Chris is a huge fan, he's like a fanboy. And
Oh.
Gustavo Dudamel has been considered to be the most joyful, one of the most joyful conductors around. And he also has done something super cool, which is he is constantly innovating and trying to figure out how you can bring the modern, how to say, the modern art forms together with classical art forms and create new experiences for people, which in my mind is absolutely genius. So I
Hmm.
really respect that, and I'm really excited to see what they will do because obviously he does the classical repertoire and everything else. But now he's also in the New York Symphony as their music director and lead conductor. So I'm really interested to see now that he's in this such a beautiful symphony setting, which is very creative and interesting, what he's going to do to innovate more and what they're going to do with different A-list artists to create really cool music that reflects the time we're in now. So I wanted to share that, especially because of what we were talking about with Ludovico. It's very, very, very relevant. And I think, yeah, I think people should check out what they did because it's really fun. And he was actually the Simon Bolivar Orchestra is a very well-known orchestra. It's famous all around the world, and it's actually part of a music school that's really big in Venezuela called La Sistema. And it is a government sponsored music school, but they produce like a lot of very, very high talent quality musicians. Um, anyway, so that's my story. I find it to be very fun. And of course, I love a lot of the more modern pieces of work that people are putting out
Hmm.
because I think that reflects the culture now. But I also, of course, because I'm such a classical brain, my favorite music is Baroque music. So I'm also very picky. Though you could find me listening to heavy metal or LL Cool J or whatever, like or modern people too. So it's just like kind of like I'm a picky omnivore, if you will. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, that's my
That's
little story.
a perfect match, though, that he's like so
Ella
joyful, kind of
gives me,
like Coldplay's vibes in their concerts.
Yeah.
yeah, it gives me so much joy.
Oh, I
And
have to look it up after this.
you should, because I'm pretty sure they're just finishing up the 10 shows. If they didn't
Hmm.
just finish it, but it was literally very contemporary to
Yeah.
the time of this recording.
Wow. They've been touring for forever. I wonder if like they're gonna take a break soon.
No, probably not. You can switch people out. So like you have people that know the pieces, right? So they can go rest, and then you take other people out. That's usually how it goes.
Hmm. Thank you for that. That's really f fun, I think. Like it's a fun piece and not such a gloomy piece.
Yeah, it's not like what we usually talk about, the state of the world, these terrible people. No,
Yeah,
but
we
I
have the
really love
conversation.
beautiful art,
Jess,
and
is
I think
your piece of news like optimistic or gloomy?
Oh, I'm trying to think of one. You go first and then we can get circle back to me.
Yeah, yeah. You
that's
think of something joyful because mine is a downer. I feel
okay.
bad.
I'm gonna be the person that shares interesting news that's positive because that's the kind of news that I am interested in, even though I do want to
Yeah.
see the gloomy news. So that's what you can expect from me, dear audience. But go ahead and take us to the cutting edge, Ella.
I mean, it's not really cutting edge. Basically the Van Gogh Museum, like the largest collection of his works in Amsterdam, might be facing closure in the future.
Right.
Uh,
Yes.
sorry?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. More about this.
Yeah. Basically, it's been kind of an ongoing issue between the museum and the Dutch Ministry of Education, Culture, and Science. They have a bunch of maintenance repairs and the sustainability efforts tie into our our previous episode that they have to cover mandated by the state. And basically, they rely on government subsidies to keep the museum rolling. And the amount that the state is currently giving them is falling short of what they actually need to keep doors open, to cover maintenance repairs, and to cover the sustainability changes needed throughout the museum. They have a hearing for February 19th, I believe, to plead their case. But yeah, we might be facing closure of the Van Gogh Museum, which would be unfortunate. I hope that they find, um, you know, a solution to all of this, but the Van Gogh Museum has over 200 paintings and 500 drawings and 900 letters by Van Gogh and his contemporaries and influences. So yeah, it's huge.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's something that like they'll probably just buy it up with private if they can, and that's not cool.
Yeah.
So what's your news, Jess?
I don't know if it's new so much, but I've been I've as far as like concerts and big tours, I do Lady Gaga's playing this month or the over the next few weeks at Madison Square Garden. I wish I could go see it,
Mm.
but tickets are like a bajillion dollars because tickets are way overpriced in the US right now.
That's not
But I
true
think it's oh well,
because the total
Ticketmaster.
cost to put her show on is insane.
Oh well, yeah, yeah. I
That's
mean,
the
just
insane.
Ticketmaster just inflating prices.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not
Ticketmaster inflation. Yeah, not the cost
not
of it.
no. I think everyone should be paid for their labor. I am advocating for that.
Because the
So
cost
I'm talking
is
about like
going up to put on the shows as well.
yeah. So I guess that's the big news is her Mayhem Ball, and I love her because she has a lot of classical influences as well and
Yes,
opera
she's training opera as
influences.
well.
And her shows are so there's such artistry in her performances. There's camp and like and the and just she really draws on a lot. It feels timeless, like it's very current, but also she draws on a lot of historical art forms and influences, but makes it very punk and very today. So I guess that's I brought it up because it reminded me of like popular like populism, like classical and populism, like classical and popular, classical and pop like mix. Like she's one of those artists that's big on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to see
Definitely.
her collaborate with Ludovico Einaudi. That'd be crazy.
Oh my goodness. And
Actually,
that would be super. I think she would too. That wouldn't surprise me.
yeah, like oh my gosh.
If he was willing
Also,
to.
I actually just saw today, here's actual news. Ludovico just released a new album with his son, Einaudi versus Einaudi, and it's him and his son
Yes,
are revisiting some of his classics. So that was just released today.
yes, indeedy.
So I
I'm
feel
looking
like that
forward to
should be brought
listening
up as
to
news
it
as well.
actually. I haven't heard it yet.
I haven't either, but that's cool though. And I'm like, oh, he has a son. It's also a musician. That's so cool.
Yes. That's great.
Yes,
So we have
daddy.
covered
Daddy
our
enough.
news and let's go to our final thoughts. Does anyone have anything that you would like to share with our audience as your final thought for this episode?
Um, art will save you in hard times.
Oh, that's
So
good.
socially, macro level, and my and interpersonal.
Brava, brava, bravissima.
When the times get you down, just make art, even if it's just coloring.
That's
Find a
true.
coloring page and like color it in. Make a collage. You don't even have to be good at art. You can make your own stuff, but it's good because you what is good, it's like the meaning you put into it and the story you're telling. So you don't have to sell it in a gallery for it to be valid.
That's true. Anything from you, Ella?
She's gone.
She's gone. All right, she probably had to deal with the baby. So,
Bye-bye.
with that being said, thank you all for joining us. The next time we will be convening for another episode will be on the topic of a very different location on the earth. And that's what we like to do. We like to go from bigger to smaller and so forth. And our next one is going to be presenting the Coral Sea Islands. So that's what we have on deck next time. Those are, of course, owned by Australia. So again, we're going to be exploring different things around the world, and hopefully you can find something that you enjoy as we continue on through our discussions. So have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you find yourselves.
Ciao.